Hello, coaches! Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better. Today, I'm sharing another episode in our short series on coaching in practice. We often get questions about what coaching looks like in practice, so we are excited to continue sharing this series with you. Today, we have a team conversation with two coachees, Nellie and Jackie, and their coach, Megan. Nellie, Jackie, and Megan work together at the American School of Madrid, where Megan is a coach in residence, and Nellie and Jackie teach grade 1 and learning support. This Spotlight episode is a deep discussion on exactly how coaching works for these two teachers and the ways that coaching has impacted their teaching practice over several years. The full-length audio podcast is a fascinating insight into how coaches can differentiate their approach based on teachers' needs, levels of experience, and years in teaching. For coaches looking to better understand how to build, adapt, develop, and sustain deep and meaningful coaching relationships over time, this episode is for you. To hear the full episode, subscribe to Coach Better wherever you get your podcasts. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to let you know that registration for our 5th cohort of the Coach Microcredential is open now. We only open registration for this academic year-long program once a year, and now is your chance to join our next cohort. If you're curious about how you can coach better with 26 weeks of curated coaching content, a private mentor, and a cohort of coaches to learn with, stay tuned to the end of this video to hear more. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better. Today, I am super excited to be here with this awesome team, Megan, Nellie, and Jackie. And Megan, Nellie, and Jackie have all worked together at the American School of Madrid, and they're going to tell us a little bit about their coaching and coachee story, similar to another episode I did with Megan recently with Megan and Jordan, inspired us to have this second conversation. So to get us started, welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yay! I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about your name, where you're currently teaching, what you're currently teaching, and your education background. And I am going to start with Nellie because you're the first person I see on my screen.
All right. So my name is Nellie Chisholm, and I teach at the American School of Madrid. I teach first grade, and this is my 7th year at ASM. Before here, I was in San Francisco. I taught there at an all-girls school for 11 years, and before that I was in Boston teaching at an all-boys school. So this is my first co-ed experience, and it's been interesting watching all. I've taught 2nd grade and 1st grade in my different schools.
Awesome. Excellent. And Jackie, can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Yes, I also teach at the American School of Madrid. Like Nellie, I'm the learner support teacher on the 1st grade team. I've been at the American School of Madrid for 30 years now. So I've seen lots and lots of changes in how we do learner support and in how we do coaching as well. Before that, I lived in Atlanta and I was a resource room teacher.
You have such longevity. I'm super excited to hear about how this has all happened on your watch. Awesome. And Megan,
it's interesting, that's for sure.
Yes, obviously, of course. Megan, I know you've been on the podcast before, but can you introduce yourself just in case they haven't seen that previous episode, please?
Sure. So I currently work in an independent consultant sort of space, and I partner with the American School of Madrid. And it's been 3 years. The first year that I was there, I was hired in as the upper school learning support teacher and instructional coach. And throughout that year, I started to meet and interact with lower school teachers. And for the last 2 years, I've been in an explicit lower school contract where my work is really around building and developing K sort of 5 teaching and learning around mathematics. And my work is really focused on partnerships with teachers and teams.
I think it's really it's nice to hear that you maybe didn't go in with this super strategic plan, but that it's part of being a coach and knowing knowing your learners where they're at, right? Like recognizing that this is what would work best in Nellie's case, this is what would work best in Jackie's case, and having all of those different approaches kind of in your coaching toolkit so you can do the right thing for the right person at the right time. But it's not this like super like mastermind puppet show behind the scenes. It's more this like authentic development of a relationship. And going back a little bit earlier, I think Jackie's point about the scripting, and you just said it too, again, Megan, about that being the data, the third thing to look at. I think, and certainly with veteran teachers, like just hearing both of you talk about that is like exactly such a good strategy for coaches, especially when they're new to a school and maybe they don't have the long-term relationship or the rapport, to have some data to talk about. So we're not talking about either one of us as individuals, we're talking about the data that's happening. I mean, just both of those approaches are really great to hear how naturally they developed and how successfully they worked with each of you, Nellie and Jackie.
Can I say something here
yes.
also? I just in listening to all this, I've been trying to think, what was it? I don't know if I have an exact answer for what it was that Megan did from the beginning, but I will say two things that I keep thinking about. One, she established personal relationships with us. It wasn't just like she got to know us, and she showed a level of care on a personal level. It wasn't just, I'm coming in to be your coach and then I'm leaving. It was checking in on how we are personally. And then it led to developing a sense of trust, a relationship. There was more to it than just Megan coming in as the coach. And I think that helped me to feel more connected with her and to trust her more. The other thing I would say is that in working with different coaches at different times in my career, Megan is very careful in the language she uses, and she doesn't use she's always very positive and very encouraging when she speaks with us. And I think that I've had other experiences where someone will look at what I haven't done instead of what I have done. And you just feel like you're not seen for your efforts and what you're trying to do in those situations. Whereas I always felt like Megan saw what I was really working on, complimenting those things, and then seeing, as she said, taking me from where I was and bringing me up. She wasn't seeing me as a teacher like every other teacher around me. I saw that she saw me from where I was. And that was really helpful in making me feel known and feel like I was going to be taken from my place in this experience. And that helped me a lot to know that she had taken the time to get to know that about me.
How did she do that? What did you feel? What did she say? What did you notice? What do you remember?
I don't know if I can say exactly what words she used, but it was a lot of her talking about me and my practice and what I was doing. It was very specific. I think, not that you want to be pat on the back, but she would talk about the things that I was doing well. And I was like, oh, sometimes those things I wasn't even seeing. I wasn't even aware of. Megan has made me aware of myself as a math teacher in a way that I wasn't through our conversations and by the things that she was pointing out about me as a teacher that maybe I wasn't even aware of. And it just made me feel seen. It made me feel known. It made me feel kind of appreciated in a way that I didn't even appreciate in myself. And I think that gave me the confidence to want to continue to work with her. Again, it's not about needing a pat on the back, but I think anybody in a vulnerable position of putting themselves out there wants to feel like the person is on their side. The person is not there to judge them. And I felt like Megan took the time to get to know who I was as a math teacher, helped me see who I was as a math teacher, and then helped me figure out how to take me to the next level.
Do you remember, now we're getting super specific, you talked about her modeling for you at the beginning, and what you're talking about now, you're talking about her noticing the things that you're doing well, as opposed to looking at it from a deficit model. She's looking at it, what are your strengths and how can we keep building on them? How did she get to your strengths? Was she talking about your strengths before? Okay, this is very specific, sorry, but I'm just curious. Was she talking about your strengths before she was modeling for you? So was she doing a little bit of observation at all? Or did the talking about your strengths and building upon them come a little bit later? And it's okay if you can't remember. I know I'm getting like really into the nitty-gritty.
I don't remember the exact. I'm curious, Megan, if you do. I will say that what I remember from the beginning was wanting to just watch, wanting to learn from her modeling and being so amazed at how natural she was with the kids, being inspired. I was really inspired by her from the very beginning, watching how natural she could walk into a room with all these kids that she'd never met before and connect with them in a way that was inspiring. And I still, every time I have a conversation with Megan, I ask her, how did you know what to say in that exact moment? I mean, she just seems to have the answers always. So from the very beginning, I don't know if it was about me, but I think over time and after, because it would be a mini lesson and then we would go and interact with the kids. And I think she started to pick up on things in my interactions with the kids. And that's where the beginning conversations came from. But Megan, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if you remember something different.
It's funny. I was waiting to hear if you named the kids. That's what I remember is we would talk about your kids. And having been a primary teacher in elementary school, I know that we talk about them as they're our kids, right? So I think when I think back on Nellie and my first conversations, it was often about the kids. We would talk about maybe kids that might need more support. And so we could really think specifically about, okay, let's think about, student Megan, for example. And then we could talk about that student. I think that's where the conversation started. I don't remember the movement from modeling to the scripting. And I think Jackie probably has a thought there too. It's something that you might have seen because we were in 3 classes together. So Jackie, is that your thought too?
Absolutely. I think that again is what made it a successful coaching situation, because I felt like it was never about my practice in general. It was my practice with that student. So and we would talk about, what are we noticing that he's doing? What are we noticing that he needs? And then thinking together, what could we do? How could we? So making it student driven was very helpful to me. And again, as a veteran teacher, in a coaching situation, I think you do need to make it specific to the student, not about what I'm doing, but how could we do something to help the student? It's funny, I do think that you purposefully, you didn't know that you did this, but just as you know what question to ask a kid next, it comes naturally to you. I think as teachers, things come naturally to us. I think you knew modeling a lesson for Jackie might not be the way to get her to buy in, but if I collect data for her and let her see for herself, I think you did purposefully do that without knowing it. Because, I'm a little strong personality and I might have pushed back unless you showed me the data.
But I think this is so good for coaches and people who want to be coaches, right? To hear that it's not one size fits all. It's not only this one way. It's not one way is better than another way. It's about the learner that you're working with, the exact same way it would be in your classroom, but now the teachers are your learners. And so Megan having all that experience with so many different teachers over many years, her being able, and maybe in her mind, it wasn't like so strategic like this, but like it's the natural outcome of having done this experience so many times. Jackie knows what she's doing. She's been at this school for 30 years. Me going in and trying to show her how I think things should be done that's going to build a wall instead of tear down a wall. So what's my next option, right? And I think it's so awesome to hear that Megan worked with both of you, that you all 3 worked together, but that her approach was so different, maybe not so different, but was different with each of you, but it was just right for each of you. And I think that's to me, that's the big takeaway just from this part of our conversation.
Thank you so much for watching this video today. If this was helpful for you in any way, please head over to our website for the Coach Microcredential. As coaches, we know we can always coach better. And this academic year-long program is an amazing opportunity to help you level up your coaching skills with the support of your own mentor. I know that I'm telling you that as the premium mentor for the coach, so it doesn't mean that much, but I'm going to let you hear from one of the coach participants right now so you can see why they think you should join the coach.
As a tech integration coach for the last decade, this program has made my coaching better by focusing on the relationships with the people I interact with. It has fine-tuned my approach and reinvigorated my passion for coaching. Having experienced coaches mentoring and guiding me through this course has been immensely valuable. These instructors have been in my shoes and gone through what I'm experiencing. Being given essential skills has been really valuable for me as well.
Are you ready to take your coaching skills to the next level? Join the next cohort of the coach and make it happen.